So, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that honestly generates just endless conversation, confusion, and yeah, a fair bit of controversy. We're talking about cannabis and the immune system. We'll be walking through a really comprehensive scientific review to detail exactly how these plant compounds interact with your body's natural defenses. And don't worry, we're skipping the heavy medical jargon. We're just going to look straight at the science.
Okay, let's just jump right in and address the elephant in the room. If you've spent literally any time online lately, you've probably seen the wild claims. People saying cannabis is this miracle cure that instantly fixes your immune system, or, on the flip side, that it's going to completely destroy your body's defenses. So what's the truth? Can it actually fix the immune system? Well, spoiler alert, the answer is incredibly nuanced. We're going to strip away all that hype, ignore the myths, and figure out what the latest clinical evidence actually says about how these chemicals communicate with our bodies.
Now, to really understand how cannabis affects us, we first need to get on exactly the same page about what the immune system actually is. You can think of it as your body's dedicated, highly trained internal defense force. Its whole entire job is to patrol your body, looking out for outside invaders, things like bacteria, viruses, or toxins, and eliminate them before they can cause you any real harm. It's got different branches too, like innate first responders and an acquired system that actually remembers past invaders, so it can fight them off faster the next time. Basically, it's an incredibly complex security team.
So how does cannabis even talk to this security team? Enter the endocannabinoid system, or the ECS for short. This is a hidden network running throughout your entire body. If your immune system is the defense force, well, the ECS is the master control room. Its main job is to maintain homeostasis. And look, that's really just science speak for perfect internal balance. Think of the ECS like a giant volume dial. If your body temperature gets too high, it tries to dial it down. If your mood is low, it tries to turn it up. And absolutely crucially here, if your immune system is overreacting or underreacting, the ECS tries to adjust the volume to keep everything perfectly balanced.
To make this easier to picture, let's use a simple lock and key analogy. Your body's endocannabinoid system has locks, which scientists call receptors. Now, you have these CB1 locks that are primarily located up in your central nervous system, so your brain and your spinal cord. But then you also have CB2 locks, and those are found mostly hanging out on your immune cells. The compounds in cannabis, mainly THC and CBD, act as the keys that fit directly into these locks. THC generally fits right into the CB1 locks in the brain, while CBD mostly interacts with those CB2 locks on the immune cells.
And because THC and CBD fit into completely different locks, they have vastly different effects on you. THC is the psychoactive key. That's the one that causes the high, typically associated with cannabis. But medically speaking, when it interacts with the immune system, it generally acts as a suppressant. It actually turns the immune volume dial down. CBD, on the other hand, is totally non-psychoactive. It won't get you high. Instead, it acts as a modulator or a balancer. It tries to restore equilibrium without just abruptly shutting the whole system down. So the really crucial takeaway here, THC suppresses and CBD balances.
Now, you might be wondering, why does this suppressive or balancing effect even matter to me? Let's talk about autoimmune diseases for a second. Sometimes the body's defense force gets a little confused. Instead of attacking outside invaders like it's supposed to, it mistakenly starts attacking your own healthy, friendly tissue. It's essentially friendly fire. In conditions like multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, or systemic lupus, the immune system's volume dial is basically jammed on loud. The inflammation is just constant, and the body is essentially attacking itself, which causes immense pain, joint destruction, and nerve damage.
Interestingly enough, this is exactly where cannabis steps in as a really potential intervention. Because THC acts as a suppressor and CBD acts as an anti-inflammatory balancer, together they can help forcefully turn down that obnoxiously loud volume dial. Clinical evidence actually shows that cannabis-based medications can genuinely calm the severe joint inflammation you see in rheumatoid arthritis. And in multiple sclerosis, medications combining THC and CBD have literally been approved in some places because they're so effective at reducing muscle spasticity and neuropathic pain. By turning down an overactive immune response, cannabis can provide some very real, well-documented relief.
But hey, we need a reality check here. We absolutely have to look at the whole picture. If you turn the immune system's volume dial down to stop an autoimmune attack, you are still turning the volume down on your body's primary security force. If you turn it down too low, those security guards might literally be asleep when a real threat comes along.
Heavy THC use, for instance, can actually increase a person's risk and susceptibility to certain viral and bacterial infections. We're talking things like pneumonia-causing bacteria or the herpes simplex virus. If your immune system is suppressed, it simply cannot fight off these external bugs as effectively. Plus, the long-term effects of chronic cannabis use on your overall immune health are still incredibly uncertain.
And that brings us to one of the most critical concepts we're looking at in this explainer, dosing. You might be sitting there thinking, well, I'll just take a little bit, no big deal. But cannabis has what scientists call a biphasic effect. That's really just a fancy way of saying a low dose and a high dose don't just have different strengths, they actually do completely opposite things. Very low doses of cannabinoids can actually stimulate the immune system, while high doses forcefully suppress it. This is exactly why self-medicating is such a massive gamble. If you are trying to suppress an autoimmune flare-up, but you take too low of a dose, you might accidentally stimulate your immune system and make the whole flare-up worse.
Which naturally leads us to the gaps in our knowledge. What do scientists still not know? Well, quite a bit, honestly. For one thing, cannabis isn't just one single uniform thing. There are massive strain-specific variations. An indica strain has a very different chemical makeup and totally different CBD to THC ratios compared to a sativa strain. How do these exact ratios affect individuals differently based on their unique genetics? We are still trying to figure that out. Also, the long-term impact of chronic cannabis use on a healthy person's immune system over decades, that remains a major question mark. So it is absolutely okay to be cautious here, because the scientific community is still working really hard to fill in all these blanks.
Which brings us right to our final takeaway. Cannabis is a promising tool that desperately needs more research, not a magic bullet. It definitely has incredible potential to calm debilitating autoimmune flare-ups and act as a powerful anti-inflammatory. But it carries real, serious risks of immune suppression and increased vulnerability to infections, depending heavily on the exact dose and the specific compounds used. The human body is just wonderfully complex, and there are rarely any quick fixes. So as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this thought. If a simple plant can act as a master volume dial for our body's entire defense system, what other hidden biological networks are we just on the brink of discovering? Thanks so much for joining me, and keep exploring.